I'm DaniSurname, and for Remembrance Sunday just passed, I went to the Imperial War Museum in London. Remembrance Sunday, you say? That was quite a while ago. Well, it was only just under a week, and I did vlog that day, so I'm not that bad at what I do. But I vlogged in the evening, you know, the whole intro stuff. I vlogged while I was at the museum, but when I came home, the stuff that I did was in the evening, and I just can't face putting that bad shit quality stuff up on my channel. So, we're gonna do it again. And before I start, I'd like to say that the Imperial War Museum in London is great. I hope I didn't hit my new microphone there. But yeah, it's great. You can't exactly have a fun day out because you are looking at war, but it's very educational and intellectual, and I had a fantastic time with that whole aspect of it. As soon as you go in, you're hit with how big the museum is. At least I was, because I'm not used to such freaking huge museums. There are 5 floors, and in the foyer it's all opened up to the whole height of the building, which means that they can fit in these huge plane and missile replicas. Very cool. They also have these stand things which describe the stories of extraordinary heroes from the war, like this Odette Sansom one, which is very cool, and she was a very pretty lady. As well as being a badass motherfucker. I loved that when you walked in, one of the first extraordinary heroes that you saw was a woman. That was just like, yes, this is a representative war museum. This is the only war museum I've been to though. Moving on, I went up to the first floor and turned right onto this exhibit that was about following the life of one family through the Second World War. I didn't write that down in my notes. I'm pretty sure it was the Second World War. And they were the Alpress family, which was a really cool way of talking about how war affected families by choosing one family. So I got to see that, and there were a lot of posters, and there was some art up on the walls, which was irrelevant to the family, but, you know, still part of their life. And I got to sit in an Anderson shelter, which was a very interesting experience to have. It kind of made you realise just how claustrophobic that was, and how people had to go through that all the time, especially living in London during the war. Then, while I was walking around the exhibit, there was a voiceover that said, "Please come to the cinema if you'd like to hear a lecture given by Michael Morpurgo." Woo! I love London. You can just go anywhere and there are opportunities. The lecture was set up by the Movement for the Abolition of War, and Michael did say in it, I should probably say Morpurgo to be academic, Michael did say in it that he didn't really think that the abolition of war was possible, but that if it was going to be, it would have to come from a place of empathy and this understanding of how the war affected people. So he talked about his experiences of war, growing up as a boy in war-torn London. Not London. He comes from somewhere near London, and he was evacuated during the war, and then he grew up in a war-torn place, and then he knew people who died in the war, and he went into the army when he was older, and he talked about all these experiences and how that had infused with his life. And then, of course, he talked about Warhorse, and he read some poetry for us.
This heart, all evil shed away, a pulse in the eternal mind, no less, gives somewhere back the thoughts by England.
And he also sang for us.
The lambkin in the manger, the light upon the lea, the morning yields to glory, the shepherd bends the knee.
Before the lecture, there was this great choir that did a rendition of Only Remembered for What We Have Done, which I believe is a folk song, and it's my favourite song in the musical of Warhorse. Oh, I love it. And the lecture was titled with my favourite lines, which is, "Who'll sing the anthems, who'll tell the stories?" Very cool. I love that I just got to see that and I didn't even know it was happening. After the lecture, I walked out of the cinema and was immediately greeted by a huge screen showing Hitler's speeches. Not something that you tend to just see, and I have never seen Hitler's speeches before. It's always something that I thought I should see, because people do say that you should see them, so that you kind of understand why he worked so well as a charismatic leader, and I get it. I can see that he was so charismatic, but they were chilling. It was very uncomfortable to watch. Then I wandered around some of the installations. The Imperial War Museum has a lot of installations that are set apart from exhibitions. So there's all stuff like art and photographs. There was some propaganda art. There was a figure that had all been burnt up. that was about being against nuclear war. There was a real lump in the throat kind of installation that was audio of soldiers talking about their experiences of Afghanistan. And there was an installation that was a wrought iron window from the Twin Towers. So there is a lot of cool stuff to see, but in everything that you see, you kind of wow to everything. In a this is very interesting, but also this is very sad kind of way. Then I went to the Secret War exhibition, which was all about the recently, I don't know how recent, recently released information about secret operations like MI5, MI6, the SAS, and Special Forces kind of things. They had a machine replicating the Enigma code, which I selfishly put DaniSurname in. So, you know, it is totally necessary to plug yourself in wartime equipment. There was also an exhibition on Afghanistan, which was really quite small compared to the other exhibitions, which I understand because of the whole, it's the centenary of the First World War right now. But the Afghanistan war kind of lasted a long time. I feel like the exhibition should have been bigger than that. On the top floor there was an art installation made up of paper poppies that had been made from recycled paper by visitors to the museum, which was really cool. And I would have liked to make one, but it was very late in the day and they were shutting in like 5 minutes. Well, they were shutting in half an hour. So I had time to see that, and I also went to the Holocaust exhibition, but they asked for no cameras to be used in the exhibit, which I totally understand, and I'm kind of glad that I didn't use any of my vlogging equipment in there, because the Holocaust I kind of find a really uncomfortable and quite hard-hitting subject, because selfishly, when I think of the Holocaust, yes, I think of the many millions of Jews that died, but I also think of the people like me that died. I'm not Jewish and I'm not gay, but I am bisexual, and I know that had I been around in 30s, 40s Germany, there's a good chance I would have been in a concentration camp, and that, I don't know, I guess it's really selfish to think like that and to try and find a personal link in something that is so hugely devastating to a community. But of course I did take in the fact that millions of Jews died, and so many other people died, and what happened was, it's chilling to see things like that, and I find it very difficult. There are a lot of numbers about different populations that were exterminated by the Nazis, such as the 700,000 disabled people that were. Like I said at the beginning, it's not necessarily a day that you would enjoy, but it's a day that is very interesting and fascinating. And I did enjoy other parts, just the Holocaust is the Holocaust. So there we go, I did try to make this video faster than the first one I did, but I clearly haven't done that. Ah well. Give me an ego boost, like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you again soon.